Alright guys, so in this video we're going to do something a little bit different. I need to take control of the narratives again because there's a lot of false narratives that are out there about me, and it still affects me to this very day, and I'll explain in a moment as to why. I made a video on my other channel, on the Vegan Cheetah channel, about my current stalker situation, and I know it is kind of scary. It sounds scary. You can go and watch that video to learn about that. But it sort of had me thinking about stalkers I've had in the past. Sometimes these are online stalkers, other times they're offline as well. But I was actually stalked through like mainstream media, all right? And there's connections there that I can't really talk about. I just can't even speak about them because it's politically advantageous for me just to not get into that. But there were connections, right, that one of my, a stalker I've had in the past. So I was basically like through social media, well, not only through social media, but also through the legal system, through civil lawsuits. This woman wanted to put me in debt for $1 million. If it were up to her, I would still be making payments to this very day, funding her degenerate leftist lifestyle. Thank God the courts were on my side. I mean, I was in the right, and I got through that, and I knew I would get through it. But another way that this person harassed me and smeared my name and just tried to drag me completely through the mud was through mainstream media. And when you don't have a connection to mainstream media and you don't have like a way to fight back, it is one of the most socially and economically devastating events that you will have to face, hurdles that you will have to overcome. And I would never submit and give them the satisfaction. Why would I? Right? I still have a life to live. But the consequences of what was done to me through mainstream media and through slander, using mainstream media and just outright smear campaigns and stalking campaigns, it still has an effect on my life to this very day. I was actually asked recently about, first of all, they asked me a question on a false presumption, which was that I was canceled, right? And she wanted to know all about me being canceled, was asking me questions about it, and I tried to correct her. She's already read the smear pieces by Wired Magazine and BBC and People, and she saw the some of the clips that were again posted without my knowledge, without my consent, which is kind of what I'm going through now. That is devastating too, when you think you can trust somebody and then you can't. They're recording conversations. They're trying to frame you in a certain light. But I was asked about this, about getting canceled, and I had to correct this person and explain to her that your whole presumption, this is like a false narrative, that I was canceled. Did I get banned from a couple platforms? Yeah. Was I sued for over $1 million? Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of drama. A lot happened back then. But I got through it all, and I am still here to this day, better off than I was back then. All right? Yeah, I had maybe more cash flow when, the satanic gods of YouTube were dishing out ad revenue back then like they were. And this was before Trump got elected too. So, the free speech thing, it was a lot more prevalent. You could get monetized back then. But it's like, I'm much better off now. Much better off. I've got secure income that is not based on whether or not I piss off somebody at YouTube. I've got my own life established out of online, because I used to be kind of that person that just lived and breathed the online social media stuff. And I still do in some ways, but they tried to shut down my social media, and they smeared me. And she smeared me using the mainstream media. The previous stalkers that I've had. Sometimes these are like girlfriends, right? And for whatever reason, you lose interest, you start fucking somebody else, and these women these days, they cannot handle rejection. This is what happens. Because a lot of women are not rejected these days, right? There's so many beta simp orbiters out there that are willing to put up with anything, for these sometimes 2s and 3s. And then when they're rejected, because our whole society's fucked up, they pay women now more to shake their ass on OnlyFans than they do for men to actually pave the roads. I mean, our values are just incredibly twisted in this entire society. I won't get on a political rant here, but the values are just entirely upside down. And so anyways, this woman wanted me to pay her $1 million. And I suppose that's really what all of them want in the end, is your money. In the end, that is really all they want. If you don't have a lot of money, then they want your potential. They want what they think potentially they might be able to get from you. It doesn't make women evil or anything. It's just how they think. But when it becomes an issue where it's like stalking, and there are many different ways to be stalked. Like, you can be stalked online, you can be stalked offline, you can be stalked through mainstream media, and just they will try to devastate you. They really will. And this is more of a business-minded channel here, So I'm trying to bring more serious, relevant topics to the table. Where's my water bottle? I'm sorry, guys. I've been really upset. I've been really upset, and I was almost going to cry in my latest video. I mean, straight up. That's how bad the situation is currently for me. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but being stalked through mainstream media is one of the scariest things. Like, the lawsuit was pretty scary too. Even though I knew I was in the right, I knew, my lawyers had my back. I knew everything was going to be all right. I knew this person was fucking crazy. I got through that, but being stalked through the mainstream media, and when somebody else has the connections, whether that be through friends, nepotism, there's many different ways people can be connected in the media. It can really be devastating when you have several different outlets that are trying to push the narrative that you're no good, that you're a bully, that you're a misogynist, that you're a Trump voter, that you're this, you're that, and they're trying to get you banned on social media. I mean, I have been banned from a couple of platforms, all based on false premises about me. Right? But that can be something that kind of happens when you put yourself out there online. But yeah, the stalker situations, I mean, they are very real. For men, they can be very, very real. Like, I'm really trying to reach out to my male audience today, because a lot of the times in society, we only think about stalkers in the context of like men stalking women. But when women stalk men, I mean, there is some really like calculated, primeval, psychopathic, cold-blooded like nature to it. Whereas for guys, like, a lot of the times, the guy is just like lustful, right? It has nothing, if there's a stalker out there, he just wants sex, probably. But when women stalk men, it's a completely different thing. And it's extremely dangerous, extremely dangerous. You really have to know, like, I'm experienced enough to know now in my life kind of how to manage these situations, and to, how to manage them publicly with, PR, public relations, because I've been around for so long, I sort of understand now. But like, when I was younger, I mean, it was scary. I mean, it was scary to have, imagine you wake up, the BBC writes an article about you. A couple days later, you wake up, Wired magazine. I mean, you didn't do anything to these people. You didn't even do anything to the person that's, smearing your name. But you wake up and you just, you see all these hit pieces coming out. People magazine, Time magazine. I think there was one, this was probably a meme, but it was like me on the cover of Time magazine, and like the I won't talk about details of the meme because it was really gross. It was really vile. But, the subreddits and the hate forums, and supposedly these platforms are against hate. But when you go to Reddit, when you go to these gossip mongering forum sites, that's all they do is hate on me. Right? And then it affects my social media because my people are reading this shit. And then they ask me about it in the comment section. But anyways, that's my story about how I was basically stalked, slandered, and they tried to obliterate me. They literally tried to have me starve. But it didn't work. God prevailed. I prevailed with God's help. And may the Holy Trinity protect you all.